Welcome back to another week of File New. My name is Ryan Selvy, and we are your best source for designer news, art news, creator news, and everything in between. We've got a lot on the show for you today. We have a Meta announcement coming later today, potentially a Steam update later today. There is updates on the TikTok ban. There is some font of the week as usual, where you guys will be able to vote on the best the best font for this week. There is some cool updates of rebrands of Conair and more. So we've got a lot to get through. Excited to have you guys here in both chats, both Behance and on YouTube. Hello to all of you. I'll get into calling you out individually in just a second. But first, let's go over some news stories. As I was saying just at the top of the show there, Meta Connect is today. It is September 17th. And Meta Connect is the big conference with Mark Zuckerberg giving announcements on updates for all of the Meta ecosystem. You know, that includes Facebook, that includes WhatsApp, that includes Instagram. The things that they plan on announcing this week, which will happen later tonight, actually in the evening. I believe it's at something like 5 p.m. at night or something. And that's on the West Coast, so I think it's even like 8 o'clock maybe. Do better, you know, than me, and go and find out what it is. But they have their annual Connect conference, and it is going to be reportedly talking about their new glasses. So there are two glasses that people are talking about. There's one that are the ones that they already kind of have, that have cameras on them, that don't have a screen, and have AI built into your sidebars here, so that it then kind of just gives you information. But there's also a rumored one that has a built-in display controlled by a wristband. So this will be one that has a small display in one of the lenses, and then you'll have the interaction of it with something that's on your wrist. These are only rumored. But it's interesting to see how this is then expanding. Also, they're expected to talk a little bit about an AI specific app that will just be specifically for Meta's AI. In recent months and weeks, Meta has really done a strong focus on using AI in all of their systems, all of their apps, and then also trying to establish their own by hiring people from a bunch of different companies that are, known for working for, OpenAI or for Anthropic or all of the other million ones in between. And so it's interesting to see what this will be as their big announcement. As far as like a Quest headset, according to Jay Peters, there is not really an expectation of a new Quest headset, which, as you guys know, is the VR headset that I have the second one of and like never use anymore. I am ready for glasses, man. I'm so ready, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second with when we get to the liquid glass update with Apple. But until then, we will just kind of work with these and see how these go. Before we go on to our next story, I just see so many people in the chat, and I want to say hello. If you guys are watching this as a replay, I promise to make this short, and you will still be able to get through all of it. But a big hello to Keys, Philip, Oliver, Clever, Wade, Jack, Sean, Rick, Bree, Penny, Alyssa, Sephoronia, Bree. It's great to see so many people returning. Also, hi to Zonafly as well. Good to see you guys here again. If you guys have news stories that we don't cover today, please let me know. Throw them in the Discord. The Discord is the Adobe Live Discord, and it has a great place for just the File New channel itself. You know, you can go over, and then I post cool updates throughout the week. Like this one, we won't even be going over today. This cute little giraffe exploration over Reddit. But if you guys ever have things that you want to talk about, even like tonight when the Meta thing happens, I'll go in there and I'll probably post a little bit about it because by next week it might be old news. Zonafly says, the only thing I hope is that the glasses can have prescription because I can't see without them. Yes, I think that's the other reason why I'm really excited for the form factor of glasses. It is more so like I already have something on my face, and I really wish that I could assign name tags to people that I know. I'm not asking to do facial recognition on, random strangers. I'm just asking that, when I walk up to you and you're in my phone contacts and we have met 4 times and I forget that your name is Jeremy, that, it just says, hey, this is Jeremy. Sean said, would you like liquid glass in your glasses? Yes, and we will get into that in just a little bit. On more pressing matters, in the next one, the TikTok ban. We've talked about this 400 million times. This is like the 102nd episode or something. I would be very unsurprised to hear we probably talked about this thing in probably like 20 episodes. Basically, Trump has pushed back the TikTok ban deadline again, and now it's set for December 16th. The delay comes as U.S. and China discuss a framework deal involving a new U.S.-controlled app. The interesting thing about here and most recent developments is that the app would still use TikTok's recommendation algorithm, but it would be licensed from ByteDance. And then Congress has already passed legislation for an immediate sale or ban, making this the latest twist. So, no commentary on that. Just as if you're part of Social Media Manager, just know TikTok is constantly kind of up in the air. It continues to be one of the biggest platforms in America, but also continuously also could go away at any second, but also looks like it probably won't. It might just change. So keep that in mind, and we'll see where it goes. In some Adobe related news, this is I feel like as we kind of continue to get closer to Max, which is a little bit more than a month away, I feel like the Adobe information might just kind of continue as we continue to kind of ramp up. But I saw this one about creative mornings, and I thought this was really good to call out. Bizarrely enough, if you go onto the web page itself, there is actually this thing that says that it was posted in the future. So between you and me and everybody else, guys, secretly, this is, I guess, coming out next week. But they already posted it. It's there. It's on the front page. It says that Adobe and Creative Mornings have partnered on Level Up, a free career workshop series. And I just love this illustration by April Finfrock. It kind of looks like Mario, kind of looks like Sonic, kind of looks like, I don't know, just a fun video game thing. Even has the plus 100 creativity. But the thing that's here is they have topics landing on they have sessions on topics like landing a first job, building a portfolio, tackling imposter syndrome, and more. There's new mentorship clubs that are launching in cities like New York, San Francisco, Austin, and London. And the program aims to support emerging creatives with both skills and real-world connections. It's just another part of the collaboration with Adobe that's helping you grow to pro and grow into a more seasoned creator and designer, and something that will help you level up with your essential skills and strategies to help you become a more successful creative career. It's so funny with the last one, everyone's talking about the drama, and it's it's something that the drama with TikTok is, and just social media in general, is always kind of exhausting and thrilling and exciting. Speaking of drama, this is also coming from Axios. This is coming from Megan Maroney, and this is saying that apparently OpenAI is planning a teen-friendly version of ChatGPT. This was a lot in the news lately about AI and about the idea of teens using artificial intelligence. They said that they're going to be announcing that it is an experience for teens using age prediction technology to block under 18 users from using the standard version. It is announced from Sam Altman that the company will prioritize safety over privacy and freedom for minors, calling the technology new and powerful and in need of protection. He says that parents will be able to link accounts, set rules, enable or disable features like memory, and even schedule blackout hours. The move comes as Congress and regulators scrutinize chatbot safety, with hearings and FTC inquiries already underway. The reason why I really wanted to highlight this on today's show is the fact that this is another example of a service. Last week or the week before, we talked about YouTube being able to identify people. But the idea of a internet experience being a curated experience to the user that is using it based off of their behavior and their actions. So the fact that OpenAI is being able to identify who is under 18 and then changing the interaction of its service to fit the person that is using it is somewhat similar in a very small degree to the idea of how algorithms have changed. But this is even another step. This is another step of how there will be services, and whether that in this case is a chatbot, but this could even be a news site, this could be an entertainment magazine, this could be anything that's going to understand what you are doing and what you are there for, and its predictions about who you are as somebody who is consuming content, and then it's going to shift the internet based off of that. This is something that also came up decades ago when they were saying that basically different income levels also have different experiences based off of different ads that you're being served and cookies, and it's just, I thought it was very interesting. I'm not putting commentary on it. I'm only addressing that the internet is once again about to change. It changes every 5 seconds, but in this case, this is services and platforms being able to change to be specifically based off of users themselves. Before we move on to Font of the Week is when we go and we identify 3 fonts from Adobe, and then we get to highlight which one we think is the best of the 3. I just want to look at the chat a little bit. And we have some interesting comments. Evie's giving me trouble for how now brown cow. Alyssa says we are 1 degree closer to Wally. Shin Chan says, what do you do? Then Sean is saying, if I'm being hip with it, will I be banned? Yes, Sean, because I'm always constantly wondering if you're secretly 15 because you are so hip. Clever says, hey, fellow teens. And Keys says, brah. Which, to the point, actually, since I'm seeing Keys, there has been a really cool amount of participation in Maddie's streams. So Maddie streams on Monday on Twitch, and she does virtual plein air, which is when plein air is normally when you go out and you paint in the real world and you are experiencing paint based off of environments. But obviously, since she's streaming and also since we're all around the world, we all can't be in the same spot. So what she does is she provides a few different options from like a street view of sorts. This week, she was crazy enough to do underwater, and she had these 4 options. The chat voted to work on this one, and then she walks through her process. She walks how she uses her brushes. And Keys is always doing really incredible work. Keys, I just want to take a moment to give a little shout out. Working with really cool lighting all the time, always really good with texture. I love that you did the texture on the sides of kind of the coral here, but then the light beams and also the reflection of the light's really good. But everyone is welcome to participate and join. We also have Evie in here who had some really awesome, I know I'm really focusing on texture today, but I just really am inspired by the amount of texture that people are able to really control and confine to make it feel organized, especially in something like a dry brush setting here for coral. I think it's really effective, while also then being able to rely on maybe some smudges and some blur, because when you're underwater, there's kind of that difference between things that are super tactile and fresh and tight, and then there's other things that are blurry and out of focus because you're underwater and your eyes are in there too. So if you guys are free on Mondays, Maddie has her show. I believe it is, what is it? 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Western. And that's just at twitch.tv/Adobe. Of course, if you end up doing one, this is what she ended up on, which I thought was really beautiful. But if you end up doing one, please, by all means, throw it in her chat. It's just under plein air. Keith is saying plain H2O this time, which is really funny rather than plein air, and says that they weren't alone. They definitely did it with a bunch of other people. Also followed right up by that is Wade Cuff's stream, which is Roller Troll, which is the one where he goes and he puts it up to the chat and dice to determine what he's drawing. And just as a trigger warning, guys, I'm about to show something very disturbing, because this is what Wade did this week with this terrifying, horrible split face baby ogre thing that's being driven. It's this. I'm surprised I didn't have nightmares about this, but he did all of this in just an hour and a half. And big props to him. Also, I see he's in the chat, so thumbs up to you, Wade. The schedule and more will start being actually emailed, so if you guys want to be part of that newsletter, let me know. But also on the Discord, there is I post every Monday a update to different links for every single one that has both the time, who's hosting it, what it's about, and then you can kind of keep up to date. Right now, we are here on Wednesday, and we are with File New with me, yours truly. But then later today, we have Creative Retouching with Bella. Sadly, the last one, but if you haven't caught one yet, she's a fantastic photo compositor and photo editor. She'll be on Twitch going through her process in Photoshop, and then followed by No Experience Necessary with Courtney and Ashley, also known as CANLA. So make sure you check out their stuff. And then tomorrow, got a loaded day filled in studio with a bunch of really cool stuff, from turning dreaded revisions into creative wins, elevating your mockups with Firefly boards, or bringing book covers to life. And then there's a surprise stream on Friday. I wonder what that would be, but it's to be announced, and I'll let you know when it is. But once again, that is the Discord. I hope to see you guys over there. I love talking to you guys, and I wish that I could talk to you more freely rather than having to just rely on the chat, because I feel like I don't get to comment on everyone's stuff. But that's long-winded, and now I'm sure you're definitely probably waiting for Font of the Week, which is normally our second segment. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some fonts. For Font of the Week, we pick 3 typefaces that are with the Adobe fonts. With Adobe Creative Cloud subscriptions, you actually get access to something like 30,000 fonts, I believe, that are available in all of your apps. You just go to the website and you can activate them. Each week we like to go through and we pick 3 of them, and by we I mean me, and then I put it up to you guys to pick what the winner of the 3 is. At the 100th episode a few weeks ago, we put them all up against each other, and then we were able to pick the best one. But maybe I'll start doing that every like 10th episode, and then that way it's even more of a roster by the time that we get to the next 100. If we do. If we get to 200, who knows? But today I want to start with Los Feliz. It's by Christian Schwartz at Emigre. It is a serif family with 4 styles. You can see here that there are italics and everything for it. We have Roman, italic, bold italic. It has a bit of vernacular character despite being a serif. It has irregularities in individual characters. It has slight misshapes, and you can see that already here with like the F and the Z and this L. It is intentionally kept visible so the type feels hand-drawn or sign-painted, but then when set in text, a lot of that disappears and just becomes kind of full form. It is rough around the edges with uneven stroke widths and imperfect joins and terminals that give that human touch. And the design seems to take inspiration from vernacular lettering, like hand-painted signs, from the 70s to 90s revival of vernacular signage. We like to always go in and type out file new, because after all, that's what this show is. I guess I should put up the poll, because although I always get worried about you guys voting too early. If you're wondering where the poll is, it is on the YouTube chat, okay? So if you are watching on Behance, do me a favor and go ahead and hop over to youtube.com/@Adobe Live Community, and you'll be able to be a part of the audience that gets to pick the font this week. And by the end of the show, we will be able to vote on which one we think is the best one this week. It will get a crown on top of its crown if it receives the winner, but we'll see. That's coming from Evie Johnson. Longer the poll, the more the votes, says Jacob, and that's true. And Zonafly is saying, vote for next March. We do font madness. That would be really fun. That'd be cool. And maybe we could even build like a roster or something. Although that kind of gets down to like sports betting and the way that like people would influence it by voting on what they do. Reverb Mike is in the chat. Good to see you back. Nice to see you here again. Oliver's saying he voted, but it wasn't even up. I don't think he even voted in fast enough. And then the 3 typefaces go in. Only one is crowned the victor, says Penny. Evie is already kind of campaigning for base 900, or maybe they just know it. Oliver also likes base 900, and Sephronia is also getting real excited about it. Trying my hardest not to vote too soon, says Alyssa. Gosh, you're the best, Alyssa. But as normal case as well, we like to go in, and if you ever go into fonts in Photoshop, you can always go to Window and down to Glyphs. It'll show you whatever glyphs are available for the typeface you have selected. It looks like the Los Feliz has a bunch of variant symbols for and markings for a bunch of the letter forms themselves. They even have additional ones that, like, I don't know what this extra percentage sign one is. We always like to also look to see if you can do your homework. I don't know if you can do your math homework with this font. It doesn't really look like it has a dividing sign or anything. So, oh, it has plus or minus. Yeah, you could probably pull off. It might be a little hard. It seems a little bit disorganized in the glyphs panel, but it has brackets. It has what is this called? A tilde key, which I always think of like Tilda Swanson. And then we have a bunch of these strange ones. So I don't know if there's arrows in this one. I do like to do arrows whenever we have the option to say file new. Next up, how do you guys think we say this one? Okay. Tzimmes. It's Tzimmes, and it's by Michael Jarkonsky from Capitalics. It is a serif slab or semi-serif family that spans display and text use. It is both used with a strong personality for display, or it can be regular styles good for body text, which I think is very evident in the idea that you can probably read it at various type sizes. It says that it is a fleshy serif, and it is combined with references to calligraphy, so the serifs are not skeletal, but more substantial with some flair. Has strong optical contrast and display weights, more moderate in regular or text-oriented weights, and has true italics, not just slanted Romans, which we'll be talking about a little bit in the resources segment. And then it adds it to its typographic richness. Is probably best used for products where you want a serif with strong character for both display or extended text, like magazines and books. You can use it when you need a typeface with high typographic flexibility and expressive potential. We're going to go here and write out file new. I love the F. I love the N. I love the capitals here. Looking at the glyphs, it has an extensive set of glyphs. It has every single thing. It has small letters, big letters. If you have any lengthy form of type, especially in a book or body copy, this has all of your covers. It has all your numbers in multiple sizes and styles. It has all the symbols that you could ever want, but not really many like glyphs of icons themselves, but they cover everything that you have between Greek letters, and then of course we've got our arrows, which we love arrows. Keys is saying it's Tzimmes New Roman, which I feel like this is prettier than Times New Roman, but at the same time, don't sleep on Times New Roman, because Times New Roman has done us well. You know, it's not the most like chic, top of the line, wonderful typeface because it is used everywhere, but I will say it has been extremely successful in doing what it needs to do as being kind of like a default font. Tzimmes has really cool different weights here. We have thin italic, you know, we have heavy italic, black, ultra bold. It has a lot of flexibility here to be both, as I said, header or body copy. Jacob is doubling down on the idea of font madness. So I guess that's what we're doing in March. If you guys stick around for 6 more months, then we'll have font madness. Or wait, March is in... No, yeah, March is the 3rd month. January, February, March. Pennies always says that the glyphs are make or break. And Zonafly says, I can see making up a whole sports commentary style about each font for talk about serifs and the different font angles, which is great. Sephoronia is saying, is it good for posters? I think you could use this for posters. It would be definitely a more academic poster. I think you could do this definitely for a book club. You could do this for maybe an indie film, for a talk or a conference. You probably, in my personal opinion, wouldn't use it for maybe like a sports poster or, you know, maybe like a soda brand, but I think it could definitely work for more academic settings. Reverb is saying Tasmanian New Roman, and Rick is saying, isn't that per thousand instead of percent? Oh, is that what that icon is? That was on Los Feliz, right? Is that per thousand? Interesting. I never would have made that connection. Also, I don't know if I showed you guys what this looks like when it's not italicized, but it looks italicized like that. Looks like not. And then finally, base 900. Base 900 is a smoothie boy. It is a geometric sans serif family, high contrast between modular techie origins and refined detail. It is from Zuzana Licco at Amigre. It originated in bitmap, then restricted outline, then high resolution outline. So many of its design decisions come from constraints like the grid low-res techie feel, which remain visible in forms even in high resolution. Which I really like, that this is something that is built by its process, and you can understand where it gets to the end just based off of how you know that they made it. I like it in both all caps and in title case. Title case is when you normally do just the first letter. It is very modular, it's geometric, somewhat rigid in the sense of straight lines, regular curves, grid logic, but refined for modern printing and digital sharpness. It has multiple weights from light to heavy, plus italics, so it has wide spectrum of weight contrast. You can see here we have light, regular, medium, bold, heavy, and heavy italic. We all go all the way up to heavy. The thing that I find interesting here is like this first capital here. is lower than the highest point of the L. So it definitely has an interesting kind of distribution of height here, because it's not the X height. That's the what is that? It's like the ascender line or something. But you can see that the I and the L both kind of exceed the side there. It is good for display, depending on weight. It can be used for interfaces, signage, branding, retro computer aesthetic, but it's also good wherever legibility and clean modularity is required. Looking at the glyphs here, by going to the entire font, you can see that it's very clear. It has lots of accents. It has flourishes. Can we do our homework? Yes, we can do our math homework with it. It's even got a pi sign for you. I like the little asterisks that it has. Smaller, and yeah, I think they're all three very strong typefaces. Once again, they are Base 900, and that's by Zuzana Licko at Emigre. Tizimes by Michael Jarkowski with Cabalatics, and then Los Files with Christian Schwartz from Emigre. So these are both from the same foundry, these two. But when I went onto the Emigre foundry page of Adobe fonts, I thought it was just super interesting. They had a bunch of really cool ones, and I would suggest just checking them out in general. And just as an update one more time on that per thousand rather than percent, Rick is saying that it is known as a per mille, which is, I'll type it out for everybody here. He says it's per mille, and a per mille is the thing that looks like the percent, but it has an extra little zero. So the more you know tonight, okay? Wade is saying all your base belong to 900. And Alyssa's saying that she's glad she waited to vote because she changed her mind. That's what we're talking about. Also, if it wasn't abundantly clear, I am standing. So I feel like I'm doing more standing streams, and I think it helps with just the vibe. Although I will say, I feel like this has a little bit of a... Oh, we got rid of the black top there, and you guys can then see me a little bit more. It's actually common for some fonts for the I and L to go higher than the capitals. Lettering has taught me weird things, says Zonafly. Sounds like a great aspect of trivia that we could put on screen for the March Madness, Font Madness that's coming up in March, if you guys just wait. Sean says, look at the big brain on Brad. Mile is Latin 4000. Well, what do you know? Here we go. We're going to keep the conversation going with typefaces while we look at this feature that was on the Brand Identity, which is a fun website that does a lot of different brand features and brand discussions. This is Brutal Type. It is coming from the same people that did Retype, and they revived forgotten European letter forms. It's a really great article. It's about a 9-minute read to check out. But type designers Paula Mastroiango and Ramiro Espinoza launched Brutal Types as a new foundry dedicated to expressive display fonts. And by the way, Paula Mastrangelo, it's Mastrangelo. So I probably am mispronouncing it. But the project focuses on overlooked lettering from Europeans' interwar years. And it is inspired by Dutch signage, book covers, and architecture. Let me see if I can actually even pull up this article as we're kind of walking through it. It is very pretty. They have good like graphics and stuff. So Brutal Types. It's an interview, so it's written in like interview format, and it's pulling up different examples of the things that they're talking about. It says that their team has released fonts based on tombstones, enamel canisters, and monumental building inscriptions, because a lot of it got lost during, obviously, things that are moving on from the war. Many of the alphabets were never designed as full type systems, so the process requires careful reinterpretation for things that don't have all of the letter forms. Brutal Type avoids overused historical sources, aiming instead to broaden the options available to designers and branding agencies, because there need to be a wider set of diversity for our typefaces, especially if we have the history there. And then they have 50 more fonts in production and a planned book, with the goal to expand today's typographic palette with bold, unconventional voices. it's a fun read. It's cool to hear about the process and hear about what really inspires them. You can see here it's even on a canister with the coffee, and that K is so kick out with a little triangle here. But it's fun to see it, and it's also cool because we love the retype people. So retype actually has a bunch of typefaces on Adobe fonts. So make sure you check out the full article. It's like I said, it's like a 9-minute read. So a good kind of downtime if you need to take a coffee break or something. Also, Rick is saying, when you stand, are we less likely to see Roscoe? Hopefully. I did get a new, very chic cat stand, which maybe I'll post in the Discord. I'll post a picture of him, and maybe that'll give you guys incentive here to check it out. I'm going to go ahead. I'll take a picture right now, and as we switch over to the next system, or the next segment, I'll go ahead and I'll post it in the Discord chat for you guys. You guys can see that he's currently sleeping right next to me, and just letting me do my thing, because why not, right? All right, guys, let's hop on into Rebrand then, which is our next segment. It is the segment where, you guessed it, we talk about famous and upcoming popular rebrands, and I really want to talk about Liquid Glass, which we teased at the top of the show. All right, the Roscoe picture is up. We're going to come back to that poll. Don't worry. We will declare a winner by the end of the stream. But if you have an iPhone, if you have any Apple device, iOS 26 came out on Monday. It is available now. This is from Zach Hall at 9to5Mac, but we're also going to be talking a little bit about the reception of it, and that is on the verge, coming from David Pierce. It is a new design system that is universal across all of Mac and Apple products. We're talking iPad, we're talking your watch, we're talking your phone, we're talking Mac OS. Everything, for the first time ever, has the same user interface. And it is this glassy, like see-through looking, look, Roscoe's on my back screen. But like you can see how you can continue to see Roscoe's face here. While you're going through your messages. There's a bunch of updates to group messaging. There's updates to things all around the phone itself. As you move your phone, there are refractions in the edges of the glass, quote unquote glass, that is happening on the screen, but it's actually just tied to your accelerometer. So it's not actually going basically based off of the angle that you're going, but it's just saying, hey, is it moving? Are you able to change the color? You can change the color a little bit. You can change, as you can see here with these icons, they're fully translucent here, or they're full. You can also go into dark mode or change it into dark icons. But David Pierce talked a little bit about this, and he says that the unbearable sameness of Liquid Glass is Apple's new cross-platform design is created for a world we don't live in. And this is something that I clocked too. So we were talking a little bit about glasses. We were talking about how user interfaces are changing. And right now, Apple is preparing for the world that we're going to live in the next decade, that we're projecting, and a lot of people are projecting, that things are going to be on your face and when you're using an Apple Vision Pro. But the idea of like glasses is that there is no interface, that you are constantly going to be he says, Ryan, I can see you missed an appointment. But when you're using Apple Vision Pro, the reason why it works for Liquid Glass is the fact that interfaces don't exist in the real world, and so it's bringing interfaces and design into the real world and putting them into your environment. He says that even with you using your laptop, like the interface isn't really around too much. You're using other stuff, and the interface kind of comes and goes. But the problem of making a universal cross-platform design is that for instances like your iPhone, where you're constantly using your interface, and the interface is constantly there because every app is full screen, everything is constantly hopping in and out of using this interface, that it doesn't necessarily make sense for the phone. Same thing with the watch. They said that the watch doesn't make as much sense. His argument is saying that the readability issues and the battery drain and the clutterness is not worth it, since we're not yet at the future that they are then planning for, which I think is a valid criticism. I did not like it the first day that I updated it. 2 days later, I am getting a little bit more warmed up to it. As with any broad kind of overhaul, it's always going to be a little weird, especially with an adjustment period, and they're going to continue to refine it. They have refined it already from when it was in beta to now when it's in its public release, which was on Monday. You can update by going to your general settings. But we'll see where it goes. Jacob is in the chat saying, I don't know if I'm completely sold on it. I'm seeing Sophronia saying, I think it looks crisp and vibrant. Evie's saying, I like iOS 26, but some parts not so much. Winter's scared to update iPhone 13. It might explode. This is very true. Zonafly is saying, Liquid Glass is an interesting choice, but I don't know if I like it or not. Safran is also saying, impressive. Welcome to Adama. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions or comments or ideas on news stories, let us know. Evie's saying, I like the selection of a letter and text is like looking through a magnifying glass. Yes, it reminds me of like the different like glass that my grandfather used to have on his desk where he could look at bigger things. Reverb is celebrating change, saying change is your friend. And Wade is saying the whole thing is just exhausting to me. I'm not finding it all that interesting or useful. So as you guys can see, even just from the chat here, this is a very divisive, controversial update change, not in a way that, you know, is hurtful on anyone's character or anything, but as with these things that we all as humans, at least in America, are all interacting with, it's interesting that these changes can make such a profound opinion and change to the way that we interact with things on a daily basis. And other news for Rebrand's Conair. If you guys have ever used a hair dryer before, it was noted by Brand New that there is a new update to Conair. It was by Miss and Mr. It says that apparently after 50 years of not being rebranded, it was founded in 1959, but they have not changed its rebrand since the 1970s. It says the new identity that was created by Miss and Mr. features a lowercase word mark with rounded, fluid letter forms that emphasize friendliness and playfulness. Bold new color palette anchored in lilac, paired with vibrant supporting tones, brings consistency and modern energy across packaging and campaigns. The refreshed look aims to honor Conair's heritage while connecting a new generation of consumers through youthful visuals and joyful messaging. This is the example of new packaging that they have. They actually have on the side of it a flat plane of color. So like on the side of the box for this Conair purple one, there's just like purple. Same with the fuchsia or the orange. It feels a lot cleaner. I think it's losing some of its character personally. I do personally like the kind of 70s, 80s breakup here. What do you guys think? Reverb Mike says lowercase is friendly, question mark. And yeah, Alyssa says they feel like they could have kept the same look forever. But Zonafly is saying, I love the Conair rebrand. She says it does a nice job of aiming toward their target audience while keeping some reminders of their old logo. Yes, I think that there is definitely, I can understand the connection between the two. My biggest complaint is that it almost kind of feels like the generic branding in Target. What is it? It's like Up and Up or whatever they're called is 50/50. My team is saying if Conair didn't change their logo, it would eventually be back in style. Yes, it's one of those things where it's like if you just kind of hold it out long enough and you get through the outdated thing, then it becomes classic. So Forna is saying she is now curious to check it out again and have the perfect exercise to go shopping again. Yeah, let me know if you buy a hairdryer. Reactions to the rebrand online were probably lukewarm, with most people saying it's fine, not necessarily saying it's good, not saying it's bad, but interesting to see a refresh of it. I can definitely see it. I could see myself standing in a Walgreens and looking at a Conair. I definitely by no means think it's bad. I just don't know if I necessarily think that it has as much character as the old one, which, Alyssa is also saying the old one was original. It immediately reminded me of any of the hundreds of brands at Target. Yes. And Reverb Mike says losing the N, so not the cross one, but over kind of the top. Oliver says just create a few logos and keep using them on rotation as the style logos go round and round and round. Umacorn, welcome to the chat. What do you think about the Conair rebrand? Also, if you're wondering if you want to vote over on YouTube for Font of the Week, these are the three fonts, Los Feliz, Tizimes, and Base 900. We have about 15 minutes left. We have a bunch of resources to go through. So this is what we've gone through so far. Just to get you up. Da-da-da-da-da-da. We're going to go into resources. we have lots of resources for you today. This is the last actually segment that we're going to have today. I don't have anything else past resources, but I like to always be able to highlight creators online when we can. Ogi Zeet, or OG Zeet, I'm not sure how he pronounces it. I got permission for him to share this, but he has come up with an Adobe Illustrator font menu fix. I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to boot up Illustrator. Unfortunately, he does use music on his post, so I'm going to have to talk over top of him. But you guys should check out the original post in full. This is a really great walkthrough of being able to change the font menu in Illustrator, because right now, if you were to go on there and you pick something like, with a K, it's going to then take the most recent one and put it right at the top. So if you wanted to then go through to the next one, you open back up, it brings you all the way back up to the top again. Now, if you were to go into your settings and you change the type setting over to number of recent fonts and you change it to 0, it's going to make it so that you don't have to do that every single time. So I will show you guys in a little bit of a slower fashion as well, just in case you're wondering what he's talking about. It's just a matter of being able to consistently go through and adjust the type based off of preference. And there's all those things that are kind of available in your type settings, and it's all about making the programs your own. You can see that on mine, we go here and it has like a bunch of the most recent ones up here. But like if we wanted to look at, I don't know, eras, and then we wanted to go down in eras more, sometimes it will bring you back up to the top. Other times it won't. Oh, for me, it's actually just doing the right thing. Maybe we might not be low enough. But regardless, if you go to your settings, I'm on Windows, so I'm going here and I'm going to type. You can then change this setting to recent fonts to 0, and then that will always just keep you directly back where you need to be. So great tip. Thank you so much to OG Zeet for that. And make sure you check out all of his other stuff, because he's got a bunch of different really helpful things that walk you through Illustrator, or just being a designer and creator. He also makes these really beautiful things. So he is an expert. So he's a film poster designer. So you probably have seen some of his work before. Make sure you check it out. And then we have one other creator that I wanted to highlight today on resources, and this is coming from another person that we've also mentioned before, and this is from Type Design Class. This is a resourceful understanding of education here. I guess it's not a resource as much as like just being able to understand that italic angles are explained. All right, so if you draw two rectangles and you slant them both, an optical illusion takes place. Suddenly, the longer rectangle looks like it's more slanted, which it's not. It's still the same amount. To counter this, we need to slant the longer one back. In italic ascender, this is also needed. So you're not just going through and just turning everything at the same, because lowercase is going to be looking a little bit different than the higher case. The longer letters need to slant backwards. If you don't do this, your letter forms can look a bit unbalanced. There's no mathematical solution. It all depends on what is attached. He then had a course, which unfortunately is now no longer open to enroll. But that said, I would definitely recommend going and checking out his Instagram. He's Type Design Class. He has a bunch of different really great breakdowns and carousels, and is just a really great wealth of information to learn more about typefaces, even if you're not making type. Like, I'm not making type, but I am interested in understanding why my type works the way it does, and also I know not to just like go into Illustrator and slant that bad boy to the side as hard as I can, you know. Yeah. Now let's say Sephironia is saying, I'm learning about fonts. This is perfect. Zonafly is always saying, yes, love the Type Design Class. Sephironia says it saves so much time and money by not having to pay for courses. Then we have Clever that says that's why fake italics are bad. No regard for the technicality of it all. I definitely agree. Getting some design inspiration. Keys says, Jacob, there's a movie with Nick Cage called Con Air. Wait, what? Really? That's wild. Did not know that. But if you guys are ever creating your own typefaces, also please let me know. We'll have to put them up for the font of the week. Then next up, it was between a hyperlink or a resource. This is called Load More, and this is a mobile websites gallery showcasing the best design inspiration for unconventional web. To keep up with updates, follow them on Instagram. And you can just get to this by going to loadmo.re. So it says Load More, but right now they have 362 websites. And what's really cool is you can go through and you can see little animations of all the different kind of callouts they have. Kind of reminds me of Design Spells. Kind of reminds me of the other hyperlink that we had. A really good place for inspiration, giving full credit and linking out to the specific ones so you can see them in action if you want to actually open them up on your phone. But for the longest time, we were all designing for desktop and just kind of making mobile secondary thought. Now a lot of times mobile is the forefront and desktop is secondary, or they're just different things, or they have to be different kind of reactions. But this is a really great way, even if you're not designing a website, just animations, how things are laid out in design, understanding a vertical type, it's all, they also have different kind of tags and stuff, so you can look at when ones are about photography, there's not, and yeah, it's a nice, easy, free website. So make sure you guys give it a look. I was trying to think of different ways to say it. When learning about the Creative Mornings, I also learned that apparently your Creative Cloud membership comes with a bunch of different perks. This is just a part of Adobe providing more than just the programs for your subscription. If you are a member, you apparently also get a bunch of perks like 50% off Dropbox Plus. They have Kajabi, which is kind of like a Kickstarter meets Patreon meets all the other one, Ko-fi or anything, but it helps you be able to monetize your work. There's also 3 months of Miro for Business. You can get a month free of a Skillshare with then 40% off. So you might be actually already even paying for these things. Make sure you go in and you check to see which perks are available for tools at your disposal so that you can use them to enhance your workflow. But I wasn't really aware of these. So like I personally already pay for Skillshare, and I guess I should probably get maybe a month free. I don't know. Maybe it has to be a new user. I'm not sure. But you can just redeem the offer. Also, getting 50% off at Printful would be really helpful if you're printing something out. Yeah. And then from the Adobe Express blog, we have how to tap into the power of YouTube. It says, get the most out of your YouTube content with a little help from Adobe Express. This is from Leah Haberman. Obviously, YouTube is really changing very quickly. Also, Mike is also saying designinspiration.com, which we'll have to also feature in just a second here. But there are plenty of tips in this write-up from Leah, like think and create like a TV producer. So borrow ideas from reality shows, docuseries, competition or game shows, comedies, lifestyle. It says build your brand by staying on brand. It's more than just slapping on a logo. Think about the recurring elements that build familiarity and trust with audiences, like font of the week. It says get it out there and start testing. Basically, just create. Don't obsess over things before you post it. And then on Adobe Express, you can work with the clip maker. You can work out a brand kit. You can polish animations and scene transitions. You can add polished immersive narration with video, self-recorded, enhanced speech. You can track results with the Metricool add-on, all within Adobe Express. We say in the chat that we want to go to designinspiration.com. So let me look at it at my other screen to make sure that nothing bad is on there. Although I trust Reverb Mic. Yes, Design Inspiration also looks like it has. Oh, but it is stretched. What is happening here? What is going on here, Mr. Mike? I mean, some of this stuff could be cool, but it's stretched out. So stretched out. Why is it like that? But could be something. Thanks for sharing. And then what else did we have? Last up, I know we had Adobe Stock. I just started looking between what is then available with perks, and one of the perks that I found out with Adobe is that they have the free stock section. So if you have a Creative Cloud subscription, you can go in and you can search through a whole library of not only just free photos and free vectors. If you go to Adobe Stock, you might not realize that there's that tab there. So there's obviously like videos, photos, illustrations, but if you go to free, you can go here and you could even, I don't know, even say like I don't even remember those. The gale force winds from Storm Arwen. What is that? What did I search this for? Oh, wow, I guess I needed this. I guess I needed it for something else. I don't remember. But download it, and it's a huge dimension, so it's not even, you know. You can also generate variations and stuff if you need to change it up a little bit. But interesting. Reverb Mike also says Adobe Audition has free sound effects, which is also super helpful. And then kind of in a similar vein, there was a post on After Effects subreddit that I caught that said, I was confused where designers obtained archive assets from. And this was a really good comment resource of a bunch of people going and being able to really kind of talk about where they pull their resources from. We have the archive.org, Library of Congress, Wikimedia Commons, Google search with Creative Commons filters on. There are people that also said public domain review, flickr.com/commons/institutions, Shorpy, digital collections, Met Museum, bunch of different resources, bunch of different people coming out of the woodwork to say this is what you could be able to look at for being able to use archived assets, whether that's free or you pay for something. And yeah, all right, guys, that puts us just about time. Oh, I remember, yeah, the creative career. Just going off of creative career, there is a creative career center. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard about that one, but it is helping you find everything you need to get started, stand out, level up, and land your dream job all in one place. They have courses there, but what I thought was really interesting is there's commissioned projects here. You can go and you can view a project, and you could potentially get a job to then be able to then put in your portfolio, like being able to apply and do a social content reel for University of Texas at San Antonio. Then you have a real client under your belt, or you can use swag design for a shipping box. Bunch of cool things. And there's articles from people who have done it or have experience. And then if you are able to get in there, you're able to make some connections, which is really nice. Brick is asking if anyone has played with Adobe boards yet. Two of my Adobe friends covered boards during their presentation, are both at IBC, and looks very cool. Yes, Firefly boards. I actually used it this week because I was working on stuff for Adobe Live, and I wanted to see if I could get an idea for it. But I can go over that next week if you want. See, we have it down here, and you'll be able to flip around with it. But we are just about time, so I want to go back and hop back into Font of the Week. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to end this poll. Wow, that was a close poll this time. Oh, wow. All right, with 26 votes, we are at a dead tie, so I'm going to give everybody about 10 seconds to be able to switch it. If anyone's able to vote just once, we're going to be able to, because right now it is split between Los Feliz and Base 900, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys are going to vote on. 26 votes. Come on, we're going to wait for a few more seconds, and we'll see if anyone can vote. And it looks... Oh, we got one. Okay, ending the poll. With the winner being Base 900. So a big shout out to Base 900. Great job. Thank you to everybody who voted. Nice sans serif. I feel like we need to do a little pie chart of how many sans serifs versus glyphs for whatever you name it, is the winner and which ones normally win. But thank you guys so much for voting and for being here. Next up, we have Twitch content coming up. Like I said, it's Bella, and she's doing creative retouching. So you're going to hop over to twitch.tv/Adobe. Make sure you guys hop into the Adobe Live Discord. I'll be there, and I'll be hanging out there. I'll talk to you guys more about the Meta Quest updates tonight. And then thank you to Evie and Jacob, Sephora, Kendall, Alyssa, Winter, you name it. Oh, and just on cue, here comes Mr. Roscoe. So thank you guys so much. I'm Ryan Selvy on Instagram. Ryan Selvy on Blue Sky. And we will be back here next week, same time, same place. File new. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.